Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Icarus Alone, and Merry Christmas. Today for you I'm going to be starting a fresh play on Super Metroid, a game that I've got a lot more experience with than I care to admit, and very popular game among speedrunners. I haven't looked too much into that because that's just not my thing. I've usually been more of a completionist than a speedrunner, but at the same time, that's not what this run's going to be either. For those of you who don't know, because you were born beyond the age of the Super Nintendo, this is actually the third game in the Metroid franchise. And this intro here that I'm talking through is actually telling the stories of the first two games. Right here we're telling about Game 1, how you first traveled to the planet Zebes to fight the space pirates. In the end you killed a creature called Mother Brain, that's her in the tank. And the planet and the facility on the planet had some kind of self-destruct that you had to escape the planet in time to get away. That game's actually been re-released as Metroid Zero Mission with a lot more content and better, just tighter controls, and everything's much better about it. And here's a brief explanation of Metroid 2 that I got off screen before I started talking about it. That one was for the Game Boy, and in that one, in the first game you discovered these creatures called Metroids. It's a tiny one right there following Samus around on the screen. In the second game, you had went to the Metroid's home world of SR388 to eradicate them, just genocide, because they were dangerous parasitic life forms that were hard to kill. In the end, you killed all but that one, that baby Metroid that hatched and followed you out as if believing you were its mother. Since that one wasn't posing any threat, Samus delivered it to Federation scientists, and now we're in the story. We're getting into the story of this game. Scientists studied it and found Metroids had energy generating powers, not just the ability to drain it from life forms, but somehow to spit the energy back out. And now she's leaving. I'm surprised that the scientists had enough time to make the discovery when the station was under attack before she'd even left. But yeah. So now we're heading back into this space colony where she left the Metroid hatchling. Trying to save the little guy, because that's what a good mommy does. Just a side note, while I'm wandering through these vacant halls, yeah, the channel's called Game Marriage, and for the most part it's meant to be about me and Kisa playing games together for you guys. But Kisa's a bit camera shy, so you may see more of me playing games alone, even though I'm not the funny one, sorry. And look, our baby Metroid. And our first boss battle. This guy's named Ridley. We murdered him with good reason, or we thought we murdered him in the first game. But now he's back stealing the Metroid hatchling, because the space pirates were using Metroids as weapons in the first game. That's how we got introduced to them, and why we thought it was a good idea to eradicate their entire species in the second. So obviously he's taking this, planning on trying to make more Metroids, and basically rehash the entire plot of the first game all over again. As for this fight, you can't actually win that fight. He takes the Metroid hatchling no matter what, You just saw I managed to make him drop it. If you shoot him enough times, he'll do that. The quick way to end that fight that people speedrunning the game will usually do is just to let him hit you. Preferably with the fireballs, because I think they do more damage. But that fight ends either when you've shot him enough to make him drop the Metroid hatchling like I just did. It's not actually that hard to do. Not like I got elite skills or anything. Or when your health reaches 30 or less. When I was still learning to play the game, usually my health would hit 30 or 25, and then he'd just run off, leaving me for dead with the self-destructing space colony. That doesn't work out very well for him because we get to come back and kill him later. Yeah. Don't mind. Go ahead and call me out on being a dork if you wish. It's also, while I'm in one of these transitioning screens, we are planning, within reason, of taking fan requests on our channel. I mean, we don't have any game consoles or ability to record them, just PC games for the time being. But yeah, if there's interest in seeing myself, Kisa, or the both of us playing a game, go ahead, let us know. We'll try to make it happen. For the most part, I'm probably going to do more nostalgia trips, playing classic games from my childhood and horror games. I love me some survival horror. But I'm a little particular on it. I prefer the feeling of being helpless to the horror environment and to the monsters I'm facing. Like, Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of my favorite horror games of all time. And between you and me, Kisa might see this too, but she doesn't know yet, I haven't actually beaten Amnesia. I chicken out about halfway through, but I've played that first half to death because it's a very fun game, very creepy atmosphere. But for now, I should probably focus on the game I'm playing right now, as it's got a lot of great going for it itself. Also some very fun glitches that we'll see later if I continue this play. This intro sequence here, I mean, yeah, I just got through the intro sequence, but our intro to Zebes, this is where we just landed. It's meant to give us a feeling of isolation, to show us exactly how alone in the universe we are in fighting this threat. Because the game offers you no help, no AI allies, no anything. It just gives you your upgrades that you use to beat everything. And I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Normally I have my controller sitting somewhere where I can see it, but right now I'm just trying not to have it obscure my face or something. Hey, stop scanning me. I'm not wearing much under this. Again, those of you who are actually new to the Metroid series, or as unlikely as that may be at this point in time, the main character is female, and depending upon which game you're playing, she's wearing different amounts of clothing underneath. Like, I believe in this one it's more like a tank top and pair of shorts. In the first one it was a jumpsuit, and you only got to see her outside of her armor here if you beat the game within, I think it was 3 hours, which I can usually accomplish. I'm not... I think the people who speedrun it have it down to like an hour and a half, and that's just kind of crazy, but... This game, or more appropriately the first in the series, it was one of those games that made a genre, and that genre happens to be wide open, explore the map, get upgrades. It's called Metroidvania, is what people refer to the genre as, and it's definitely a nice change up from basic platformers. No, get away from me. I hate those things. One thing that those of you more modern gamers who might have played current day platformers might notice very different about Super Metroid here and about the Mega Man X games that I mentioned that I'll probably play at some point because I love them to death too, is that everything has a set position and behavior. It's all patterns that you can learn and memorize and adjust to as you go along, so you can get some straight up just practice and learn what you're doing. I'm a little rusty on the map, as you saw. I went a wrong way, but and some of you may find that to be somewhat of a boring game design idea compared to the procedurally generated maps we've got now and randomization around every corner. But it kind of has its strengths too, because the fact that everything's in the same place, the fact that it all follows a set behavior, means that you can practice your responses to them, and that really opens the doors to those speedrunners that I was mentioning earlier, and will probably continue mentioning with some amount of bitter feelings. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them are great people, and they have fun with the game in their own way, but it kind of detracts from the game if you're not gonna stop to appreciate little strange nuances here and there that were put in. But I guess that's what people like me are for. Like the first time you see the statue come to life, kind of terrifying moment in a game that you thought was just going to be a plain old platformer. Suddenly, this scenery is out to get you, and that's... I really hate these Chozo statue fights. This first one, it doesn't give you enough room to maneuver around him, and it's before you have the chance to get any energy tanks. But that just got me my bombs, which, if I want to backtrack, can get me my first energy tank by doing a trick called bomb jumping that, as you can see, I'm not quite good at anymore. My brothers who taught me how to play these games when I was a little kid are probably swearing at me if they are watching this. Because I'm getting the timing of these bombs all wrong. When this is just me trying to practice bomb jumping. It's not anything important. I'm just going to move on, because that was an embarrassment to the gaming community as a whole. I gotta stop laughing at my own jokes. Even things that aren't jokes. I laugh at myself. It's what you do when you realize you're bad at something. For those of you who might find the names Kisa and I are using to be a little strange, I'll admit outright they're not our real names. and we're not disguising them for security purposes or anything serious like that. It's really just we thought it'd be fun to pull names from our old RP days. Oh look, energy tank. So these are names of original characters we came up with to just play a text-based chat room game with people. In the case of mine, he's he's a Neko, that's Catboy thief who grew up in an orphanage, and because I like to give strange quirks to my characters, which is no substitute for good character design, by the way, for those who are potential writers watching this. Icarus's main quirk is that he believes that if someone earns something, they should have it. But he still has to make a living and lives in an area that has some heavy prejudices against humanoids. So, since no one will offer him a job, he steals to make a living, but then he gambles to make money using whatever money he makes from pawning off what he stole. And once he's made enough to buy himself food and to buy back the item in question that he stole, he will buy it back from the pawnbroker and sneak back into the house he stole it from to return it. Thus, he goes by the moniker of the IOU Bandit. I know it's kind of silly, but that's what I come up with in my spare time. And Kisa recommended at some point that I perhaps should try vlogging, because I knock it a lot. So, mainly just because I don't find it to be very interesting personally. And if I do, many of my vlogs might be just telling stories about my characters, whether they're the character backstories or about RPs they've been in, or even a solo story that I might write about one. And I got sidetracked again talking about my stuff instead of the game. After getting the bombs, we've gone from the overworld, the surface acid rain-esque area of Crateria of planet Zebes, and now we're in the more plant-heavy Bryn Star. But this is where I'm going to cut it off. But if I continue this, later we're going to see a really big guy in this place, as well as a plant. The plant comes first. It's gonna probably kick my ass the first time because I'm a little out of practice. But I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you do, give that like button a tap. Maybe subscribe and stick around to see more. That's Icarus is out.